And a very pleasant good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Tornado Talk, where we talk all things Brevard College athletics. We're here on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook Live, as well as YouTube and Twitter. And glad you're able to join us this evening. It's going to be an exciting show. We're going to talk a lot of hoops, women's basketball, men's basketball, talk some cross country as well with our special guests. But first, do want to thank our sponsors of Brevard College athletics, Arby's, Brevard Orthopedics, BSN Sports, Cooper Construction, eGolf Ford of Brevard, Hampton Inn, Ingles, Jets Pizza, Pepsi, Triangle Stop, and Young Transportation. Thank you for the sponsorship of Brevard College Athletics from those great organizations. And do want to catch you up since we saw you last. First up, some breaking news this afternoon as Trenton Anderson wins the USA South Conference Baseball Rookie Pitcher of the Week. Anderson, a freshman out of Orange City, Florida, 7 innings of shutout baseball to be helping the Tornadoes earn a sweep at Averett. We'll be talking a little more about that later in the show, but the Tornadoes get the sweep, and Trenton Anderson, the freshman righty, with the big day and wins that Baseball Rookie Pitcher of the Week award for the USA South Conference. So congratulations to the Tornadoes baseball team and Trenton Anderson. Well, it was a busy weekend across Brevard College Tornado athletics. On Friday, the USA South Cross Country Championships took place. That was down in Grady, Alabama, where the Tornadoes were led by Devon Brodmyer and Garrett Spangler. We'll see both of those two on the show a little later on. In total, 9 Tornado runners made their collegiate debuts at this big championship event. A third-place finish for the Brevard College men's cross-country team, so congratulations to the Tornadoes. Men's lacrosse had its season opener on Friday, a 10-3 defeat to Oglethorpe in Atlanta, Georgia. Sam Duffy scores 3 goals to pace the attack. Everin Francois dishes out an assist, as does Nate Allen with 9 faceoffs and 6 ground balls. And the Tornadoes able to get going on the men's lacrosse field after a long stretch without a competition. So great to see them back in action. Women's basketball, we're going to talk a lot of women's hoops tonight. We're going to get to Coach Hudson in just a moment here. They played on Friday night and defeated Huntington 59-50. We'll talk a lot more about that. Saturday, 2 sports ended up getting rained out. And if it wasn't for that, the day could have been that much bigger perhaps. But nonetheless, a 5-0 Saturday for the Brevard College Tornadoes. While softball and men's soccer ended up getting rained out at Emory, Virginia, and Maryville, Tennessee. 5-0 the Tornadoes sports that were in action. We talked about baseball. They defeated Averett 2-1 in Game 1 and 1-0 in Game 2 of that doubleheader. Matthew Scavato, by the way, in that first game, a big performance on the mound. 7 innings pitched, 1 run, 3 hits allowed. And then we talked about Anderson on the mound in Game number 2. We'll talk even more about women's basketball, the big 64-56 win over Huntington. Women's soccer, a 4-0 victory at Agnes Scott. 4 different Tornadoes find the back of the net. Abby Petrosky, Alyssa Hetherington, Jessica Tenhigh, also Abby Warzencroft with her first career goal. So big afternoon for women's soccer. And the men's basketball team rounds out the perfect 5-0 Saturday with the win over Berea 79-67. Men's basketball was back in action on Sunday, a double overtime heartbreaker. Berea takes the 82-80 win in Berea, Kentucky. And the Tornadoes baseball team complete the sweep over Averett. Ben Melton on the mound for the third game of that series, the 6-4 win over Averett. And that brings us back to women's basketball, who is sort of dominating the headlines this week. And we're really excited to have with us head coach Donald Hudson. Coach Hudson, thanks for joining the show.
Absolutely, Phil. It's always a pleasure to be on. And congratulations to all the Tornado sports that got wins this weekend. And I also want to congratulate Mr. Anderson, Trenton Anderson, baseball, for getting Rookie of the Week. Congratulations, young man.
Appreciate that, Coach. Yeah, it was a joyous day around Brevard College athletics on Saturday, as we were at the Bosch and witnessing your team's victory, but also monitoring the other teams around the USA South Conference and seeing those winning scores come in. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about that, Coach? How you guys sort of follow each other, look out for each other, how it's one big family here?
Yeah. Like athletics across the board, everyone is pulling in the same direction. And we all know the things that everybody goes through from team to team. And anytime anybody in Brevard does anything well, it like resonates with all programs. It goes through all programs. And we have a nice little group chat with coaches involved, and we send text message in that and just keeping each other positive and congratulating each other on wins and wishing each other good luck when we go to battle and everything. Anything Brevard, that's what it is. Anytime we do something well, everybody pulls in the same directions, and we're always happy for each other.
Outstanding. Yeah, no doubt about it. A special culture here for sure. Now, Coach, do want to catch folks up on the exciting weekend. And let's start on Friday night. 6 seniors honored before the game. We're going to have a special edition of Tornado Talk tomorrow where, we celebrate that senior class even further. But Victoria Green, Mia Mills, Bailey Ray, Deja Riddick, Shakira Thompson, Destiny Williams. But then you had to get to business. I mean, these were pivotal matchups against Huntington. And the Tornadoes took care of business on Friday night, a 59-50 win. When you think back to Friday night, can you kind of sum it up for us?
Like you said, we wanted to make sure that we honored those seniors in the right way. They've done a lot for not just the program over the last 4 years. They've done a lot for Brevard College. Just being a part of the community. So we wanted to make sure that we took the time to honor them in the proper way before the game. And now once the game started, we have to put that emotion to the side and everything and go take care of business. And we knew going into both of those games, we knew what was at stake. We knew we had given ourselves a chance to do something that's never been done around here. And that's to get to the postseason. So we finished the senior day stuff and everything, had that emotional moment, and then we got right to work and fortunate enough to get a win.
Yeah, it was an exciting contest. The Tornadoes actually led wire to wire in this one, but Huntington made it interesting late, and then Tornadoes able to pull away. And then Saturday, and Assistant Sports Information Director Joseph Marvin was doing all the calculations, all the different scenarios as far as the Tornadoes postseason fate, how it could shake out on Saturday across the USA South Conference. And, bottom line was win and you're in. And the Tornadoes did exactly that, 64-56. But this one I feel like was a little tougher in terms of, getting that W than Friday night. Am I correct in saying that, Coach?
Absolutely. It was. Like you said, Friday night, we pretty much led from beginning to end. There was some adversity during the game. They made their runs and everything to make it close. But Saturday's game, and shout out to Coach Paige Huff over at Huntington. She made some good adjustments. We got off to a slow start. You can kind of see the nerves a little bit because we knew what we were playing for. But after that 10-0 start, we called a timeout. We settled down a little bit, made some slight adjustments, and got back into the game. And once we got into the game, it was nip and tuck back and forth the entire game. And we played well enough down the stretch to give ourselves a chance. And we had some players really step up. In the second half, make some shots, get some rebounds, get some defensive stops, get out in transition. And that's when we were at our best, Phil. When we can get stops and get out in transition, we're a tough team to deal with. In transition. Sometimes our half-court offense can sputter a little bit, and that's any team. Like, your shots are not going to always be there. But the defense and the rebounding that lead to our transition, I think that was what was able to give us that win.
2 seniors were just exceptional. And we could kind of sense this watching the Tornadoes that, this game felt a little different as far as the whole team, but especially I saw it in these two, like, hey, we're going to get this win no matter what sort of vibe from them. And Destiny Williams ends up with a career high 24 points, 10 of 15 from the field, 16 rebounds, her 9th double-double as a Tornado. And then Deja Riddick just explodes in the second half. 15 of her 17 points in the second half, 9 points in the fourth quarter, several of those coming, in serious crunch time. Those two, Coach, I mean, when it mattered most, they came through for the Tornadoes.
They did. They showed the load pretty much in the second half. They led us to victory. Those two kids made really big plays down the stretch, but there were also a couple of plays made by two other seniors that were really big to get us over the hump. Shakira Thompson hit a three at the top of the key off of a pin down, and we got our good look at the top. And Bailey Ray hit a corner three that was really big for us. So both of those plays combined with the way that Destiny and Deja were playing, those are the things that got us over the hump. And Deja got off to a slow start. And the thing about Deja, Phil, I know when she's engaged by her rebounds, by her rebounding. So she had one rebound at the half, right? And so I pulled her aside and we talked a little bit, and the kid exploded in the second half. She finished with 17 and 8, made some really, really big plays for us down the stretch on both ends. And Destiny did what Destiny does for us. Get rebounds, push in transition, and she really creates things for other people. Like she's a problem. She really creates advantages for us. And now we move the ball around the perimeter and we find the proper shots. And going into this game, Phil, we knew that we controlled our own destiny. And as a coach and as a team, that's all you can ask for. When you're trying to get into the tournament, you know that we don't have to look over our shoulders. We don't have to check any scores of any other games. It's just all about what goes down here at Brevard College. And we were able to take care of business.
And the Tornadoes did exactly that, took care of business. Well, Coach, we talked about Destiny and Deja, and you mentioned the other seniors who made big plays. But as much as any team I've seen of yours, this team's got a lot of depth and a lot of different looks, that you can go with. Can you talk about that as far as, all the different dynamics that this roster provides you?
Yeah, on any given night, Phil, we could play 10 to 12 people comfortably. I'm comfortable doing that. And it starts in practice. We get after each other in practice. That way, when we get to the games, we know what to expect. And we know how to go out and put the proper plays on the floor and do the things that we talk about. And it's 1 through 15, but we know that we can go 12 deep on any given night. And that helps with when you're looking for different matchups, because every game is going to be different. Every game is going to be different. Avery Lockwood, our center, didn't play much this game at all. And I really want to shout her out because she kept the team first. She and I talked about it, and this is a game that was kind of difficult for her to play in. They had a small lineup, so we needed to go small to match that. And she'll be right back in the lineup when we go on the road Wednesday and everything. But that just speaks to the depth of the team, like you said. We can play a lot of different ways.
Tornadoes earn their 5th straight victory, 64-56 over Huntington, and head to the USA South Conference tournament, first trip in school history in any sport. This was the first year we were eligible to head to USA South Conference postseason play. And then it's kind of a waiting game a little bit. Maryville or Piedmont, who you would be facing in that semifinal on Wednesday, what venue you'd be going to, and, what squads you'd be facing. And this didn't shake out until, Sunday, a 2-game series between those two. Ends up being Piedmont. Wednesday at 6 p.m. in Demorest, Georgia. Can you tell us a little bit about Piedmont? I know we faced them earlier in the season.
Yeah, really good team. Really good team, well coached. They're going to run their stuff. They're going to press us in the full court. We got to take away what they want to do inside. That's some stuff that we talked about today in practice, and we'll go over more of their stuff tomorrow. What I always tell the team, Phil, while we were listening and waiting on that waiting game and everything, it's not about who we play. It's about the way that we play. I feel like we can go out and we can compete with anybody. We can compete with anybody in this league on any given night. It's all about us taking care of the ball, defending, rebounding, getting out in transition, and running clean offense. And those are things that we're capable of doing. So Saturday, we were able to watch a little bit of the Piedmont-Maryville game. Then Sunday, got the final of the second game and realized that's who we would be playing. So we turned the page to them on this morning at practice. We'll watch the tape of our first game with them. We know we did some things well that game. There were some things that we didn't do well. And so we have to correct those things and be ready to go into a battle on Wednesday. And that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a battle. This is a championship team. They've won championships in this league, and they have something that we're trying to get to. This is just steps to it. Just baby steps to it, and I'm proud of the team for putting us in this position to have this opportunity.
Coach, this was the most unusual of seasons. Everyone is dealing, with postponements, cancellations, all these things. But the Tornadoes women's basketball team had to, really put everything on hold. Didn't play your season opener until Friday, February the 5th at Covenant. Didn't play at home in a game until February the 9th against Agnes Scott, once all these postponements and cancellations started to kind of cycle through. And then you start the season 1-5 and then end up going on a 5-game win streak to close out the year. Can you kind of sum up just how strange this has been, but also how proud you are of this team?
Yeah, and first and foremost, the team deserves all the credit. The team deserves all the credit for keeping their bodies ready and staying mentally and physically engaged into everything. Because like you said, our first few games were canceled. So we never knew when we were going to play. And we stayed flexible. And we were able to adapt to everything on the run. Like you said, we started off 1-5. It wasn't great, but in that 1-5 stint, the more games we played and the more practices that we got in, you could start to see the team getting a little more rhythm playing together. And we need that. Like in practice, there's so much that you can do, but you need game reps. You need game reps against other teams. And the more we got that, the more we got comfortable with each other and the more we got comfortable with the way we want to play. And you could start to see things starting to click a little bit. And being able to win 5 straight and be playing at a decent level right now, going into the tournament, as a coach, Phil, that's all I can ask for.
Outstanding. Well, Coach, this Wednesday, 6 o'clock at Piedmont, we'll be following every step of the way. NATO Nation, if you want to follow that game as well, it'll be streamed, a Piedmont College production. You can just go to the schedule page on BC Tornadoes for women's basketball, and the link will be right there. It'll be really easy for you to find. And with that, Coach, love to bring in a couple of your student athletes here and kind of pass the baton to these two, as joining the program now in the bottom left, Makenna Parkins, and also in the bottom right, Chyna Pouncey. Coach, before we let you go, can you tell us a little bit about these two?
Absolutely, Phil. Absolutely. 2 tremendous people, like really good basketball players, have a bright future here, going to lead us to a lot of wins, but really good people. Everything's always yes, sir, no, sir. You can tell their parents raised them the right way. I'm glad they decided to come here and be a part of what we have going on. And I look forward to watching the success that they take us to over the next 3 or 4 years. And hopefully we can have a senior night and a celebration like we had of the 6 we have now. We have a pretty big freshman group too. So hopefully we see this group off in the same way in 3 years.
Very good. Well, Coach, I know you're busy preparing for Piedmont on Wednesday night. We'll let you go now. But we're going to grab a few minutes of your time tomorrow for that special edition with the seniors. So we'll see you tomorrow on another edition of Tornado Talk, and then best of luck on Wednesday, Coach. Thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having me on, Phil. See y'all later, ladies.
All right, there he goes, head coach Donald Hudson, and joined now, as we mentioned, by 2 members of the women's basketball team, freshman forward from Marion, North Carolina, McDowell High School graduate, Makenna Parkins. Makenna, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you for having me.
And in the bottom, or check that, actually you shifted once Coach departed. So in the top right position, the freshman guard from Dillon, South Carolina, Dillon High School, Chyna Pouncey. Chyna, thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's great to have you two on here. And I want to start with this. You guys are freshmen, and it's awesome to see you enjoy this kind of success in your freshman season. But I want to talk about this senior class. 6 seniors, just a phenomenal group. We honored them pregame in the ceremony before the Friday night game. They'll be honored again on a special edition of Tornado Talk. But I would imagine for each of you, they've meant a lot to you as you've become college student athletes. Makenna, I'd like to start with you. Can you tell us how special this senior class has been?
Yes, sir. It's very nerve-wracking coming in as a freshman at the college level, and I was very worried about the upperclassmen, how they were going to be, but they are so accepting and they're so nice. They're very helpful. I go to them for pretty much anything, and they're always there.
Chyna, can you tell us how the senior class has helped you?
Well, they've helped me a lot. They have like good leadership roles, and like when they tell you something, like trying to correct something you do in practice, they just really trying to help us out. They're not trying to tell you anything wrong because they done been through our shoes. They know how to go. So I just like the guidance and stuff that they show us.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, this weekend obviously was a big one, and the stakes were high. You had a chance to qualify for the postseason, and you guys got it done. Two big wins over Huntington College. Can you kind of reflect back on how focused the team was, to get those two W's and earn the trip to the USA South Conference postseason? Makenna, you guys, I'm sure it felt good, but it was a lot of hard work along the way.
Yes, sir. We went into the game very focused. We knew what was on the line, and we had a little talk before the game that we were going to go in there, get the job done, win two, and go to the postseason. And we did it.
Chyna, can you tell us about how focused the team was?
Well, one thing that coach stressed to us was that we need to take care of the ball and execute defense aggressively towards them because there was a team that kind of like to drive the gaps, and he knew that we need to be in the right position to try to prevent them from getting most of their points in the paint. And we just did what he told us to do and got the job done.
Indeed. You all got the job done, 5th straight win and a trip to the USA South Conference West Division postseason. Last one before we kind of move off the court a little bit and get to know you all better. Now it's time to really get refocused. The postseason matchup against Piedmont, which, is obviously a very tough team, but, a winnable game for the Tornadoes, and to keep this season going even further. Can you tell us a little bit what, today was like and what's planned for tomorrow in terms of practice, preparation, the schedule for the team, and you guys getting ready?
This morning we went into practice, and we mostly focused on us. We done a lot to better ourselves, and tomorrow's plan is to focus mostly on what they're running and what we're going to run against them, and hopefully we'll have a little bit of a head start.
Chyna, the team accomplished a lot in practice this morning?
I think we did, and I think if we just execute the stuff that we did in practice and just keep our energy level kind of high, we could get the job done.
Very good. Note here from Athletic Director Miranda Nash. Congrats, ladies. Ready for Wednesday? And a couple question marks, a couple tornado emojis. So NATO Nation is tuning in and really excited about women's basketball. Well, we do want viewers to get to know each of you a little bit, since you are newcomers to the Tornadoes. And Makenna, freshman forward from Marion, North Carolina. Can you tell us a little bit about your sports and your basketball background, and ultimately how you found Brevard College?
Yes, sir. So I played basketball pretty much my whole life, since I was younger, and I always knew that I wanted to play as far as I could. And so throughout high school, my goal was to play in college, and then coach, he started recruiting me. And so, it's kind of like just living the dream now that you're here and doing it.
In Chyna, can you tell us about your journey? You're from Dillon, South Carolina, Dillon High School, but I'd imagine you started playing basketball even before high school.
Yes, sir. I actually didn't start playing basketball until I was in 5th grade, and I didn't start taking it serious until middle school. And I actually didn't even really plan on playing basketball in college. I had already told my high school coach I was just going to focus mainly on education. But after my last game, one of my teammates had texted me and was like, she enjoyed playing with me and she hoped that I take my skills to the next level. So she's basically one of the main reasons why I'm here today.
Very cool. And now that you're at Brevard College, tell us, what are the things you like most about going to college at Brevard and, obviously in this beautiful location? Makenna?
I just love the atmosphere here. It's so great. It's beautiful around here. And then all the people, they're awesome. The team, just like family, sisterhood.
In Chyna, what are the things you like most about Brevard College?
Probably basically think the same thing Makenna said. The team is like, the vibe is just great here. You don't really have a lot of negativity. Everybody gets along pretty good. And I didn't really have a lot of that in high school.
That's good to hear, no doubt about it. Well, I know the two of you and the entire Tornado women's basketball team is laser focused on Wednesday's matchup at Piedmont. So I don't want to keep you too much longer so you can continue to get in that game mode as the messages continue to come in. This one from Leslie Mills, Parkins, Go NATO Nation. So proud of each of these girls. So thank you very much for that comment. So what I'd like to end with is an opportunity for each of you to give any thank yous, shout outs, anybody who may have helped you along the way who you'd like to recognize. I'll give you each of you that opportunity. Makenna?
First off, I'd just like to thank the Lord for giving me the ability that he gave me. And I want to thank my high school coaches, my mom and dad, my family, and just everyone that supported me throughout the years.
Very good. Chyna, any thank yous or shout outs for us?
I just want to thank my parents and my previous coaches from high school and AAU. Their coaching and stuff to help me become the person I am today.
Very good. Well, Makenna, Parkins, Chyna, Pouncey, two members of the Brevard College women's basketball team who is making history, first ever trip to the USA South Conference postseason for any sport at Brevard College, and hopefully many more to follow. As Coach said, you guys, strong freshman class, and we're really building something here at the same time. But first things first, Wednesday at Piedmont. Best of luck, ladies. Good luck at Piedmont, and thanks again for joining the show. Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, there they are, Chyna Pouncey and Makenna Parkins, two members of that women's basketball team. Once again, Wednesday, 6 p.m. versus Piedmont, USA South Conference West Division. It's a 4-team tournament where Piedmont will face Brevard on Wednesday, and then with a win would advance to the championship game on Saturday. And we're going to shift gears just a bit here, going to the men's side of things. Joined now by assistant men's basketball coach Miles Leathers. Coach Leathers, thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having me, Phil. It's a great opportunity for sure.
Well, Coach, I'm going to start with you with what I sort of started with Coach Hud with, which was this idea of, teams on the Brevard College campus supporting each other. And you can't help but notice what the women's basketball team's doing right about now. And, I know how close the men's and the women's programs are here, and that you guys look out for each other and all that. But what a season these ladies have put together, and now heading to the postseason. Can you comment a little bit about them and wherever you want to go with it, Coach?
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. I think I spoke on the last Tornado Talk just about how I feel like Coach Hud is definitely a guy that I look up to, a great mentor of mine. He's a great guy, great leader, great individual. And his program, the program is just taking off, man. I think the ladies have done a really good job this season. Obviously, it's been an adverse season, but they've stuck with it. Coach Hyde, she does a great job as well. And they're just special to watch. I got a chance to do the scoreboard for their first game against Huntington. And it was special to watch, man. They pulled that game out. It was a big-time win. They obviously need that win to possibly make it to the tournament. They ended up winning that game. Then they played the next day and won again, obviously. So, it's like I said, it's awesome to see that program doing what they're doing. They support us, we support them. And to your point, Phil, I do feel like the teams across campus, they all just support one another, and I think it really speaks to the tight knit community that we kind of have here at Brevard and what the school has kind of created as a whole. So. It's awesome, so shout out to those ladies for sure.
And then meantime, kind of on the same topic, on Saturday, and the men's basketball team was a part of this, kind of put the cherry on top, because I think you all had the last final score to come across the ledger. But a 5-0 perfect Saturday for the Tornadoes. Baseball sweeps 2 games up at Averett. Women's soccer wins women's basketball, which we've talked about, and then men's basketball. Were you guys aware that, this perfect Saturday was kind of happening, unfolding before our very eyes?
Not at all. Not at all. To be perfectly honest with you, we were definitely focused on our task at hand. It was obviously a long trip to Brevard, Kentucky, and we were just laser focused. We were laser focused, and guys, we played extremely well. Probably one of our better games of the season. Guys were focused. Guys were locked in, and it ended up being a good Saturday for us. Obviously it was a good Saturday for Tornado athletics in general, but to answer your question, we weren't aware of it. It was good to see, though, after the game. Coach Burgess, he made the announcement after the game that every team across campus that played today won. So, that was awesome to hear, and like I said, all the teams support each other extremely hard. So it was good to find out that news after the game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, let's break down that game a little bit, Coach. A 79-67 win in Berea, Kentucky. Last season series of the, this unusual year, but so really your last crack at it. And the Tornadoes come up victorious, 5 Tornadoes in double figures. So really spreading that scoring around and, a focused effort, like you said, and come away with the 8-point victory. Check that, actually 12-point victory, 79-67. Coach, can you kind of tell us further how that game kind of unfolded?
Yeah, Phil. So we got off to a slow start. It took us a little minute to get in tune to the game. But once we kind of settled in, I think we really started to click on all cylinders. I think Alex Wezek, shout out to him. He had a big-time game, a breakout game, 18 points, a lot of really good rebounds. He battled the whole night. I think he kind of set the tone for the game. Obviously, Logi, he's going to score the ball. That's something that he's really good at doing. He knocked down a lot of threes. David had a big-time double-double, first double-double of the season. Like you said, we scored the ball particularly well. I'm proud of all the guys, and I'm proud of everything that we accomplished that day. To have 5 guys in double figures is great. We also won the rebounding battle, which is really important. That's something we try to harp on every single game. And we shared the ball extremely well, so that's something that's really important. Sharing is caring, as we like to say. So, we shared the ball well. We had a lot of assists. Overall, it was just a really good game for us. We defended well. They have a lot of guys that can score the ball in a variety different ways. So it was a challenge, but we ended up coming out with a victory, and definitely proud of the guys for sure.
Yeah, those 5 players in double figures. Alex Wessig, as you mentioned, 18 points, hit 3 3-pointers. David Seeley, his first career double-double in a Tornado uniform, 12 points, 10 boards. He was a perfect 4 for 4 from the land of 3. Seeley also with 3 steals. Laji Samora, as you mentioned, 14 points, 8 boards. And then, a new name to a lot of members of NATO Nation, Charles Reed, 13 points in his second career game in a Tornado uniform, and LB Boyette with 10 points and 8 rebounds and 5 assists. We're going to have them on a little later in the show, but Reed and Boyette, big contributions.
Oh, yes, sir, for sure, Phil. Those 2 freshmen there, they're really, really, really good. They're really good, and they're special players. I talk to those guys all the time just about how good you can be, and just the opportunities you have. It's a lot of freshmen in the country that don't get a chance to play, big time minutes like those guys are getting to do. So it's important for those guys to take advantage of that. And that game they definitely did. Charles, he does a lot of really good things. That doesn't always show up in the stat sheet, but he scored the ball very well. He always talks on defense. He has a really good understanding of the offense. He rebounds the ball. And, he just plays hard. He plays extremely hard, and he kind of plays with a chip on his shoulder and plays with a little competitive edge that, that we like as a coaching staff. So that was a really, really big time breakout game for Charles. And LB, he's another really good freshman that can fill up the stat sheet. Obviously, he almost had a triple double that game. The game on Sunday, he almost had another triple double. He can do pretty much everything on the floor, and he's just young. So I mean, the more experience he gets, the more of a special player he's going to be. But right now, those guys are special. I think our whole freshman class is pretty good. Those guys just have to put their head down and work, and I think they can be a special group of individuals if they stay together and they just see it through the whole 4 years.
Excellent. Well, Tornadoes with a 79-67 win at Berea. Congrats again, Coach, on that win. And then Sunday, a bit of a roller coaster. The game gets delayed due to court conditions, so it starts about a half hour or so after the advertised start time. And then this game just was pretty wild throughout, ends up going to double overtime, and Berea ends up on top 82-80. Reflecting back on that sort of odyssey all in one Saturday afternoon, Coach, can you fill us in as far as some of the details?
Yeah, so when we got to the gym, we kind of noticed how slick the floor was. The previous day, the floor was great. The floor was in great shape. Berea has a state-of-the-art facility. So when we got there Sunday morning, we noticed that the floor was pretty slick. So it was kind of a different warm-up, obviously. It was something that we weren't prepared for, obviously, but we made it work. I think the guys did a really good job of just playing and just not making any type of excuses or anything like that. I think their support staff did a really good job of getting the floor in plain shape. Like I said, it was extremely slippery, and they worked diligently to get everything clean and get the court good and get the game on track for sure. So like I said, that was a kind of, like you said, a roller coaster. As far as the game, it was a battle. I think we had a 14-point lead at one point in the second half that we ended up giving up. Unfortunately, I think those seniors, they had a couple of really good seniors that made big time play after big time play after big time play. So, shout out to those guys. You got to tip your hat. I think Tyreek Miller, I think he ended up having like 26 points. He hit a lot of big time threes down the stretch, and MJ Embry, another one of their seniors, I think he had like 21 and 15 rebounds. So, senior nights are tough to win, and those seniors, they did a really good job, and they made, like I said, a lot of big time plays down the stretch to kind of keep them afloat. And once they pushed the game into overtime and then they pushed it into the double overtime, it was hard for us to kind of find our footing, kind of find our way. So like I said, you got to tip your hats to those guys. They made a lot of big time plays to win them that game and win on their senior night.
Well, while Berea had seniors and a senior night, the Tornadoes, kind of an unusual situation this year, no seniors on the roster. And you can look at this as a serious plus moving forward because there's a lot of young talent who is continuing to develop, and the future is very bright for the Tornadoes. Can you talk a little more long-term for us, Coach, as far as what you and Coach Burgess are building here and how these players are starting to, really get comfortable with each other and how bright the future is?
Yeah, Phil. So me and Coach, we think the future is extremely bright. We have a really good group of guys. We have high character guys on the team. We have talented guys that can score the ball in a lot of different ways. Obviously with us being young, took us a little time to find our footing. It took us a little time to kind of understand all the offensive concepts and the defensive concepts that we have. And it also took a little time for us to understand how to win. I think that's something that is not something that you can just teach the guys. They have to go through those battles. They have to go through those wars. So we've been through the wars. We've been through the tough losses. We understand what it takes to win. We understand the hard work and just the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into winning basketball games. And that's something that we're excited about. Like you said, we have a really young group, no seniors. Hopefully everybody's coming back. And if we can get everybody back and get everybody on the same page and have a good summer and bring in a couple of guys in recruiting, I think we can build something really special here. Obviously I don't want to be a guy who who says every year that the future's bright, you know, we want to start making things kind of come into fruition. So I think next year, I think we can really make some things actually come into fruition. Like I said, I think that's going to be really important. And I think if we can get everybody on the same page and get everybody working hard, I think next year can be a really good year for us.
Well, Coach, you touched on it a little bit, but would love to hear even more from you. Recruiting, you know, it's always on you and Coach Burgess's mind, I know. But, you know, now that the season's come to a close, you know, you can really zone in, I would imagine, even further. In case a, you know, high school basketball player is tuning in and perhaps he doesn't know much about Brevard College or Brevard College men's basketball, can you tell us some of the, you know, communications you would like to move forward to make sure he knows that he has an opportunity here?
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, obviously, like I said, we're a young team. You know, we're a young team, and I think if we can find like a couple of really good players, really good pieces, I think we can really build something special. You know, anytime I'm talking to a recruit, I tell them I think one of the main things that we look for in recruiting is just versatile guys. You know, guys that can put the ball on the floor, guys that can knock down shots. You know, guys that can make the right reads, high basketball IQ, things like that. That's stuff that's really important to us, and that's things, that's qualities that can really excel within our program and just the way we play and just our style of play. You know, I really like to harp on just the beauty of Brevard, just how beautiful it is. You know, once you come here, you definitely get a top line education. It's definitely a tight knit campus. We have a tight knit team as a whole. That brotherhood factor is really important for us. So I think it's just a great place. I think it's a great place, and I think it's a great time to be a part of the program. You know, we're definitely moving things in the right direction, and like I said, we're ready to start, you know, seeing some victories and, you know, just really taking the program in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Congrats again, Coach, on getting that win at Berea. You know, the most unusual of seasons. You guys have been through a lot, as, you know, most teams have, but, you know, you guys had a lot of games postponed and canceled, but you put it all together this weekend and got that W up at Berea. Well, Coach, before we let you go, do want to bring in a couple of the men's basketball student athletes, and if you can hang with us for the transition here. As joining us now, Charles Reed and LB Boyette. Coach, before we let you go, can you tell NATO Nation even more about these two?
Yeah, so I'll start off with Charles. You know, like I said, Charles is a guy who he's gonna play extremely hard. He's a really tough young man. He does a lot of things that don't always show up in the stat sheet. He has a really good understanding of the offense. He plays extremely good defense. He's going to compete. He's going to fight. He rebounds the ball extremely well. And overall, man, he's just a great young man. You know, he's a really good student in the classroom, and he does a lot of really good things for our program. And, you know, we're definitely happy for him to be a part of our program for sure. And next, LB, like I said before, you know, definitely kind of a Swiss Army knife type guy. You know, he can do a little bit of everything. Like I said, almost had 2 triple doubles in one weekend. You know, that's special. You know, that's special, and that's something that a lot of freshmen, you know, can't do or don't have the ability to do. So, you know, that definitely shows a lot about him and just his style of play and just all the things that he can do on the floor. Also, another really good kid off the floor, good grades, good young man, and you know, two great individuals that, you know, we're happy to have a part of the program.
Very good. Well, Coach Leathers, thank you for your leadership within the Brevard College men's basketball program. We can't wait to get going again at the Boschmer Gymnasium. And thanks again for joining the program.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, Phil.
All right. And there he goes, Assistant Coach Miles Leathers. So really happy to be joined. Their Tornado Talk debut, these two, Lauren Boyette and Charles Reed. So Lauren or LB, which do you prefer?
You know, I prefer LB. Growing up, you know, they say, oh, it was weird calling me Lauren because, oh, that's a girl's name. So when I got to high school, my high school coach just started calling me LB, and that just kind of stuck with me.
Well, appreciate you joining the show. And Charles Reed, great to have you here on Tornado Talk. Thank you for joining the program.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Charles, let's start with you. So, big game. In fact, there's one of your teammates, Carson Evans, tuning in. Yes, sir, Charles and LB. Big weekend for you guys. This was the last opportunity because of, all the cancellations and postponements and all that, but you had a chance up at Berea, to take care of business. And you guys did exactly that on Saturday, a big 12-point victory over Berea, 5 players in double figures, and including, each of you. Would love to hear from each of you what you thought the keys to earning that victory and, how'd you guys pull it off? Lauren?
Really feel I just thought the keys were just all of us being on the same page. Clearly Alex, one of our upperclassmen, he had a great game that game. David Seeley, Laji Samora, and a lot of guys, a lot of freshmen too, like Carson Evans, including, me and Charles. I feel like just all of us being on the same page really led to that victory.
How about you, Charles? What do you feel like the key was?
Going into the game, we knew Berea had a couple players that was capable of scoring 20, and coach made it known that they was capable of doing that. So the first game, we did a good job locking in on the players and making our presence shown.
Yeah, no doubt. And Charles, a career-high 13 points. And in just your second game, did you feel like you were starting to get in rhythm, Charles?
Yes, sir. I was excited and eager to get back on the court. We've been watching our brothers from our dorms playing for the past couple of weeks, and I was excited to get back on the court and play with them.
In LB, Coach described you as a Swiss Army knife. And for those who might not know what a Swiss Army knife is, it's basically like this little hand knife that's got like every possible combination that you could possibly want. In other words, you can do a lot of different things, 10 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists in that win. Can you kind of talk about that, what you're like as a player, having, multiple skills and kind of providing help in different ways?
Yeah, for sure, Phil. I guess I'm like the type of player to literally do everything on the court. I want to make sure my presence is known in multiple ways. So say if I'm not scoring the ball, I want to make sure I'm getting my teammates involved. Or say I'm not getting my teammates involved, I want to make sure I'm rebounding, bringing energy defensively, things like that. So if one thing's not going in my game, I want to make sure I'm doing the other thing. And it was easy for me to get my teammates involved because, like I said earlier, we were on the same page. When everybody's hitting shots, everybody's, in sync, everybody's running the offense well, it's easy for me and my teammates to play well because, all of us are on the same page so we can all, just gel together as a team.
In Charles, if anyone out there didn't get the chance to see you, in that game this weekend or on the court yet as a Tornado, how would you describe yourself as a player?
Well, I play every game like it's my last. I take pride in my defense, and I bring the energy off the bench. When, like, say if the starters don't, then I bring it.
And I always enjoy doing this as well because I know sometimes it's easier to talk about your teammates, but I'd like each of you to tell NATO Nation about the other. So Charles, we'll get started with you. What's LB all about on the basketball court?
Well, he's a superstar. Every day, he's always telling me and my roommate Carson Evans, come to the gym, put up shots. Let's go to the weight room. He's that type of player, and I appreciate him.
And LB, same opportunity for you. Tell us about Charles.
As far as Charles, stand-up guy, like Coach said, high character. He definitely brings energy to the court, man. That's one thing I feel as though that it needs to be to win a basketball game. Bring energy, and he brings the most energy on the team. Defensively, like I said, he's getting deflections, steals. He's just that type of player that you want to have on your team and that you would like to play with. You feel me, my brother?
I would like to build upon a subject we talked to Coach Leathers about, which was what you guys are building here. This is a strong freshman class here with Tornadoes men's basketball. And I'm sure you guys, not only have what's right in front of you on your mind, but know that, hey, we're building something special here. LB, can you comment on that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As far as the program goes, Phil, I feel as though our freshman class, we have a deep freshman class. Carson Evans, Sylvester White, Jamal Frank, a lot of players on the roster that don't get to show their talents now, but of course that will come into fruition later. You know what I'm saying? As long as all of us just keep working, keep putting in hours in the gym, weight room, as long as we keep getting better, especially this is gonna be a big offseason for us. You know, we have the potential to go high, you know, go places. But we also have, you know, a lot of upperclassmen that are just great to have around. Good role models: David Seeley, Alex Wesley, Laji Samora, Hayden Castle. Like the whole team, when we just come together, it's really good for us. And having our whole team this weekend really helped us in a lot of ways, and it just felt good to be back down on the court.
Charles?
Back on what LB was saying, Saturday was our first time having everybody on the team back, and I feel like we showed it what we're capable of. The future, like Coach Miles said, the future is bright, and we have a great program.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's going to be a lot of fun to see you guys get back after it next season for what will be your sophomore years. Well, before we let you go, I do want NATO Nation to just learn a little bit about each of you a little further. And LB, freshman guard from Charlotte, North Carolina, Queens Grant High School. Can you tell us about your upbringing, your basketball journey, and how you found Brevard, or perhaps Brevard found you?
Oh man, all right. So starting off with my basketball journey, I didn't start playing basketball until I was about 10 years old. Before basketball, I was just a little fat chubby kid. Just wanted to eat all the time, play video games. So once I turned 10, I started working at the YMCA. I started playing at the little YMCA league, and then I started noticing I was, getting better, and losing weight. So I started really going hard. Middle school, and then once I got to high school, I was being a dominant player. I felt as though that I can dominate the game in many ways. Like I said, points, rebounding, assists. And by my senior year, I just really wanted to be a leader on the court, because that's the next step when you know that you can, get your teammates involved, score, do other things on the court. You just want to be a leader. As far as Brevard goes, I wasn't highly recruited coming out of high school. I wasn't hearing from a lot of schools. I also did go to a 2A charter school in Queens Grant High School, so that might have been a big part. But, I'm grateful for the opportunity. Like I said, as far as Brevard, I remember I went on the website, I filled out the questionnaire, and then Coach Miles, he actually emailed my coach back like the next day or so. And so they started getting in contact, and I feel like Brevard was the right choice for me just because, I like Coach Miles. I definitely like Coach Burgess. When I came up for the visit, they were just, open arms, and they were telling me about the program, and I feel as though it was the right one for me.
Very good. Charles, tell us about your journey.
I just want to thank my father. He kept me. I started playing basketball at 5 years old. He kept me in the gym, made my work ethic stronger, and made me the young man I am today. As Brevard, as LB, I wasn't highly recruited coming out of high school. I was out there emailing coaches, trying to pursue my basketball career. And I just want to thank Coach Miles and Coach Burgess for giving me that opportunity to pursue my basketball career.
Charles out of Concord, North Carolina, J.M. Robinson High School. So both of you guys from that Charlotte, metro area, as is Carson Evans, who you mentioned. Do you guys recall, did you play each other in high school perhaps at any point, any of you three?
Nah, I haven't played. I knew Carson. I went to a couple of Carson's games. We would usually play at the Y. I would meet Carson up at the Siskiyou YMCA down there, local gym, and we'll just play pickup and everything. But I did know Carson before I actually committed to Brevard, so that was kind of cool. I didn't know Charles though.
Charles, did you bump into LB or Carson at any point?
Sadly, I didn't. Because if our teams would have bumped heads, it would have been a good one.
I bet, no doubt about it. Well, you guys get to work together now as teammates here, as member of that Tornadoes men's basketball team. Well, before I let you go, I do want to give you the opportunity, any thank yous, shout outs, people who may or may not be watching this program that you just want to, acknowledge? LB, what you got for us?
Definitely want to give a big shout out to my mother. She's been there by my side for as long as I can remember, since I popped out the womb, basically. I just really want to give a big shout out to her. A big shout out to my brother. Really kept me in the right direction as far as basketball and as far as doing the right things. Big shout out to my high school coaches, Coach Forsyth and Coach Wright. Definitely want to thank them for furthering me and just to become a leader on the court. And Coach Miles and Coach Burgess, I appreciate y'all for the opportunity that y'all gave to me.
Very good, LB. Charles, thank you. Shout outs for us.
Yes, sir. I want to thank my mother and my father for making me the young man I am today and putting me in a situation where I can become great and make a contribution in this world.
Very good. Well said. Well, great job, gentlemen, on this debut edition for each of you on Tornado Talk. And great job this weekend getting that W up in Kentucky. It was a lot of fun to watch you guys. You guys were part of a 5-0 Saturday for the Brevard College Tornadoes. So that was a lot of fun across the campus. Thanks again for joining the show.
Thank you
for having me.
All right. LB Boyette and Charles Reed, two members of that men's basketball team. And we're going to shift gears here now and bring in cross country, coming off a big USA South Conference championship. I'm joined now by head coach Darryll Patrick. Garrett Spangler is in the house. And great. And here we go. Devon Brodmyer entered the building. So, Coach Patrick, we'll get started with you as these two get settled. Trip to Alabama for the USA South Conference Championships. A little different this year, where this was the one event that was happening for you all. But you brought down a great group of runners, a third-place performance for the men's cross-country team. Can you kind of give us overall thoughts on the championships over the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, coming in, we wasn't sure what we were going to expect. We kind of knew the teams to beat would be Covenant and Piedmont, who went 1 and 2, respectively, and we figured we might be in the mix if things go our way. So we got there late on Thursday night, so we didn't necessarily get a chance to look at the course or anything like that. So when we got there that next day, we saw a lot of hills and saw the temperature keep going up and up. So we're like, all right, well, we figured we got the mountains where we trained, so figured might be at our benefit. But going in, the race strategy was, kind of go for it while running smart, and the gun went off, and you can scratch all that. So, they went after it, and I could be more proud of that. At least, we're going to go out there, swinging, and go after it. And so it was a lot of fun to watch them compete, because honestly, we haven't competed in over a year. And, again, it seems like to be a theme around here. We have a lot of freshmen. We brought in 9 new freshmen men. And so we were thankful to have a fall of, full training and stuff, but it doesn't beat real racing. So once that gun went off, it was, never knew what was going to happen. So after the first mile, I kind of knew, well, it's either going to make or break us. And the pace was pretty hot. About half of it was downhill, so I kind of knew it was going to be a little fast. But they stuck their nose in it for the first lap. They were there, and then I guess you can say the inexperience came in, just not used to racing a full 5-mile race. The freshmen come in usually running 5Ks, which is just over 3 miles. So yeah, they were looking good through about 3 miles, and then the hill started taking over, and but hey, I couldn't be more proud of that. Coming from last year, we were 8th or 9th in the conference to third in our division. Even though it's only a division, I think we were still a top 3 or 4 team in the conference. I think we've already made big strides and improving, and I feel like we're just going to keep getting better and better from there.
And you mentioned the depth of this year's team: 4 runners in the top 20, 7 in the top 25. So some big performances there, and these two leading the way. Devon, 28:47 in his collegiate debut, places 8th, and Garrett, 29:02 to also finish in the top 10. Devon, how'd you feel on Friday on that course in Alabama?
Well, it was something completely different. We didn't really know what we were going into. We were just giving it all. So, like Coach said, first 3 miles, cruising, and just holding on for those last 2, just trying to finish. But we were just giving it all, see what we could get out of it, see how we could link up against other teams. Because we were trying to go for all of it, see how we could do.
And Garrett, your first collegiate race as well. Now that you've had a moment or two to kind of reflect back, what are your thoughts?
It was an interesting experience because I've never raced anything like that before. I've always ran 5Ks. So my goal was I wanted to make 3rd team and was very happy with my place. My time wasn't quite what I was wanting to get, but it was one of the hardest courses I've ever seen. So, and the hills were rough and the heat was a lot to take in, but it was still a very good race. I think overall, I think we're a young team, so as a whole, I think we did really good. But yeah.
Coach, one event to really gear up for, and obviously, strange times with the pandemic and everything, but can you tell us a little bit what the preparation was like and, what the strategy was as far as getting the student athletes in shape and prepared for optimum performance this past weekend?
Yeah. Usually I'd say it starts in the summertime, and in a typical normal year, it would. It starts in early June. So obviously with things going on and not having a full fall season, yes, some of them I know trained over the summer. They definitely showed it on their first week here in the fall. But I think we kind of looked at it as a blessing in disguise to allow these freshmen to, get, 3 or 4 months of good, solid training where they might be running, in the lines of like 30 to 50 miles a week to jumping up to at least 50, some 60, 70 miles a week. So it gave us time to really develop their base from there. So usually, like you have 2 weeks into the fall semester, next thing you're running 8Ks or at least some 5Ks, and so you don't know what's going to happen. So it definitely allowed us to really prepare for an 8K. But again, you don't really fully prepare because you never really raced it before. So I think though, if we just had normal circumstances, I'm not really sure exactly how it would have went down. But either way, I couldn't be proud of how they ran last Friday. So, but usually, you design workouts that are at least that long. You're racing 5 miles, so you want to do interval work or some kind of what we call tempo or threshold work of at least that mileage. And these two, they can tell you, definitely bumped up their mileage quite a bit from what they're used to in high school. So they might be doing even more than that. And then we have a nice hard long run, usually on either Saturday or Sunday between 12 to 15 miles, depending on the training phase. Obviously we use the trails a lot to do that. So, I think we were very fortunate to have, 3 or 4 extra months of good training before we can really prepare for that race. What have I liked to have, raced a couple of times before the meet? Sure. But I think at the same time, it just allowed us to really, get ingratiated with the college training as well as getting into the academic side to make sure we can balance all that before really getting into the real heart of training. So,
Devon from Marietta, Georgia, Garrett from Irmo, South Carolina, but you guys are here now in Brevard, North Carolina, Brevard College, which has a great history of cross-country success, but also some incredible terrain for what you guys do. And, you can kind of get a little bit of everything around here. Since you guys have been going hard, since you arrived on campus way back in August, you probably learned your way around here pretty good, I'd imagine, with your training. Tell us and tell the listeners, what it's like around here to be a cross-country runner and, all the different possibilities. Devon?
It's completely different where I came from. So I was running on roads every day. Granted, a lot less miles, 20, 30. I bumped up to like 60, but it's great. It's great training. Can't really ask for better because You're running on trails every day. Running on trails is what you want to do. You get up mountains, which is great for training, especially for racing. So you got to get used to it. You twist the ankle a couple times a run. You just kind of get used to it. But, like, couldn't really look for a better place to run. So I'm really happy about coming here and be able to run on these trails and train through them.
And Garrett, tell us what you think of the area.
I love it. That's a big reason why I decided for Brevard, because not only is it gorgeous everywhere you go, but there's no better place to train. Like, there's no elevation and the scenery and the trails. Like, there isn't anything better around here. So I think we really use that to our advantage this season, just for training. Like, other than like the speed workouts that we did on campus or on the track, we pretty much stayed in Pisgah or DuPont. So I think that really helped us bump up this season. And it also just shows you a lot that, like, a lot of people don't see, because we go farther on trails that most people don't go on hikes and stuff like that. So we get to see these like waterfalls and like looks on mountains and stuff like that that not many other people get to see. So it's really nice to use that for our advantage.
That's a great point. And, I wanted to ask you guys, once the weather gets warm, and you experienced it some, I'm sure, back in August and September and October, you guys cool off in those waterfalls and in those swimming holes?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, we always come back to campus sometimes, and we'll like ice bath in the creek. We'll hang out at some of the waterfalls and stuff like that. Like wet our heads in the creeks or whatever. But yeah, it is nice though.
It's great to get ice baths in. We got ice bath in actually yesterday.
Very cool. Yeah, no, what a great like kind of side benefit. You guys have the camaraderie of the team and all your training schedules, but to get to do it here, real plus, no doubt about it. Coach, it's almost time to turn the page to track and field. You may have done so already. Can you give us a bit of a preview about the track and field program this season?
Yeah, actually, it technically started in January, but it officially started today. Kind of switching gears to track. So, yeah, we're keeping all the distance runners moving over to the track. These two, Devon's more of, I think right now, at least a mid-distance runner, maybe hopping some 5Ks. And then Garrett, no offense, Garrett, but he's more of a longer distance guy, mainly 5Ks, maybe some 10Ks, not this year, but in the future. So, yeah, all the distance teams coming back. And then we got 3 throwers right now training hard. And then hopefully after some fall sports technically end, we can get some sprinters and some other throwers out there once their sports are completed.
And Devon and Garrett, I'd love to hear from you guys as far as, your feelings as far as track goes. Do you have experience perhaps from back in high school, and are you excited about track season? Devon?
Yeah, I've been running track for a long time. I feel like something great about track is you get to pick what fits you best. It's not just one 8K. You get to pick, like, if you're better at the 5K, you can, like, do more in one event. And you can see what really fits you and get, like, times that are spot on, because sometimes in cross country, courses can vary. You'll always get the spot on time with track.
Garrett?
Track's always usually been like, I usually did track to train for cross country, and this is the first time I've ever actually really been excited to pursue track before. I'm really excited to like get my 5K times down. I'd like to do the 10K eventually. I don't think I'm quite there yet, but I think I can be. So that's like my goal for later in college. I'd like to get my 5K and my mile time down mostly. But yeah, it's definitely a very interesting, because we did some time trials during cross country, and that really kind of showed me how far I've progressed from where I used to be. So that's been really helpful to like kind of motivate me for this track season coming up.
Before we let you guys go, I do want NATO Nation to learn a little more about each of you, and your upbringing. And I want to kind of stick to the running side of things. I'd love to hear, your first maybe memory of like running really far or, racing somebody. And then how did it evolve from there, where it was something that you were truly competitive with, and that you wanted to eventually become a college cross-country student athlete? Devon?
So when I was younger, I played baseball. I'd always get like bored just sitting there, always wanted to be moving. So my mom decided to move me to track. And I was real young. I was 3rd grade. So I've been running for a while. And I always just love the feeling of just running, always moving. It's just something to do. I feel like what really got me running in college is I feel like there was more I had to it, because I ran like a 18:10 back in high school. When I came here, like 2 months in, I hit like a 16:30. So I definitely feel like I'm reaching the next step. I feel like there's more to come.
Very cool. Garrett, tell us about your journey.
The first time I ever ran, so my dad's like my hero. I love my dad. And my dad used to smoke a lot. And when he quit smoking, he picked up running. And so after he got pretty good at it, I kind of started joining him. So I was probably 7 or 8 years old. And after just like probably 4 or 5 times a week, I'd go on like a 3 to 5 mile run with him. And it kind of got me interested in running like recreational cross country. And actually, me and Devon actually raced together back when we were kids, but well, against each other. But after I did that, I went into high school, and that's when I really fell in love with the sport. My senior year was a little rocky with COVID and all that, and then I decided to run in college just because I felt like I wasn't done. I felt like I had something left, and I feel like I'm definitely beginning to tap into that now. And I think I have like a lot of growth left.
Great. Well, before we wrap up this edition of Tornado Talk, we let the two of you go, and also Coach Patrick. Devon and Garrett want to give you each the opportunity to give any thank yous or shout outs to anybody who may or may not be watching this program, but you just want to make sure that they know that, you acknowledge, how they've helped you along the way. Devon, thank yous, shout outs for us.
Obviously the coaches. I feel like I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. Teammates from back home, teammates here, my parents, my family. It's like there's a lot more to come. I think we got a swagger back.
Very good. Garrett?
I obviously the coaches, like he said. I mean, I wouldn't be here without them. They really sold me on running here, and they really pushed me in ways that like I never could have pushed myself, and I've never been pushed before. And definitely my parents, they've always like kept me motivated and kept me on track and been great role models for me. And the teammates here, like there's more than teammates. We're a family here. So we always just keep each other accountable and just keep each other going. So I love that. So yeah.
Very good. Coach Patrick, before we put a bow on this edition of Tornado Talk, final thoughts, now that the USA South Conference cross country meet is behind us?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for our future here at Brevard. Like I said, we are a very young team, so we're only going to get better and better each and every year. I know they got a nice taste in their mouth from over the weekend to see what it's really like. So hopefully that keeps them hungry for the summertime and hopefully in the fall. So yeah, just couldn't be more excited and thankful for letting me coach them, and can't wait for these next 3 years.
Yeah, exciting stuff. No doubt about it. We can't wait to see how you guys continue to evolve as a program, and how this strong freshman class keeps on trucking. Well, hey, stick with me here as I do some final housekeeping before we sign off tonight. Tomorrow, noon Eastern time, special edition of Tornado Talk, where we will celebrate the senior class from women's basketball: Victoria Green, Mia Mills, Bailey Ray, Deja Riddick, Shakira Thompson, and Destiny Williams. That show starts at 12 o'clock tomorrow. It's your chance to come on into the program and congratulate an exceptional senior class who, by the way, on Wednesday will play in the USA South Conference West Division Tournament semifinals at Piedmont. That's 6 o'clock Wednesday. So tune in tomorrow for that special edition of Tornado Talk. Coming up this weekend around the world of Brevard College athletics, Friday, baseball will be at home at Gil Cohen Field versus Greensboro at 3 p.m. Men's lacrosse at Averett in Danville, Virginia. That's a 3 p.m. start on Friday. Saturday, the softball home opener, a doubleheader versus Carolina University. That begins at 11 a.m. Volleyball is at home versus Agnes Scott. That's 1 p.m. at the Bosch. Men's and women's tennis versus Berea at 2 p.m. at the McCoy Tennis Complex. Women's soccer travels to Wesleyan. Football, by the way, in case you did not see the news, versus Maryville. That game has been canceled due to COVID-19 protocols. Sunday, baseball versus Greensboro. Games 2 and 3 of that series, a doubleheader, begins at 1 p.m. And then men's soccer versus Berea at Islamel Family Field. That's Sunday at 2 p.m. All the home athletic events will be streamed live on the YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe and hit that little bell so you receive all the notifications when the broadcasts drop. And want to thank you again for joining this edition of Tornado Talk. Be sure to follow the Tornadoes on social media, Instagram and Twitter at BC Tornadoes, Facebook and YouTube, Brevard College Tornado Athletics, also the SoundCloud page if you prefer the audio format. Want to thank those behind the scenes, including Patrick Hall, who helped with tonight's program, and thank our guests, Donald Hudson, Makenna Parkins, and Chyna Pouncey from the women's basketball team, Miles Leathers, Charles Reed, and LB Boyette from the men's basketball team, and the three gentlemen you see on your screen right now, head coach Darryll Patrick, and cross-country student athletes Garrett Spangler and Devon Brodmyer. And thank you, the audience, for tuning in again for another edition of Tornado Talk. Go Tornadoes!